I quit after 6 guitar lessons. It wasn't because my fingers hurt or because the chords were too hard or because I was just not very musical or was because I was a bad student. This probably goes for you too. Did you quit guitar after 8 lessons? The reason I quit was because there was no reason to come back. Simple as that. And probably the reason why you quit, you just knew that you weren't getting anything out of it. I sang a little song earlier. I was doing a sound check to see, and I sang this little song. Maybe I'll put it in a little bit later. Why not become the best music teacher you can be? Think about what turned you off and why you quit after the first 6 lessons. Why did you quit after 6 lessons of guitar? Looking back after my 40 plus years of teaching private music out of my home, there is one question that needs to be answered every time that you teach a lesson. Here's the question. Why should I come back next week? I'm sharing this video today because a lot of new teachers, they're unknowing. They don't realize that they're making some of these mistakes. That's what we're talking about today. Answering that question that every single lesson that you teach should address, that a student is going to ask to themselves, why would I come back for another lesson? What's in it for me? Why do students quit? And if you've ever had a student quit on you, you want to ask yourself this. Why did this student quit? Here is the simple answer. They're saying to themselves, I'm getting nowhere. I'm getting nowhere. That's why I quit guitar early on in the early days when I was a new player. I would quit within 6 to 8 lessons because it just felt like I was getting nowhere. Let's address that today. Many beginners leave a lesson and they think to themselves, I'm just not musical. I can't do it. I'm not musical. And this applies to any instrument that they might be taking. They feel like they're not getting anywhere, that they're not musical, they're not progressing at all. There is no emotional payoff at the end of a lesson with a boring teacher. A boring teacher is not inspiring. A good teacher discovers their student's dream. A poor teacher starts at page 1. So here's a question. Because I've been asking myself, what made those 6 lessons fall flat for me as a new guitar student? I could tell right away the teacher did not have a lesson plan ready for me. They weren't ready. They had no roadmap to take me on that would get me any kind of result at the end of the lesson where I felt like I was making any kind of progress. I watched the guy think. I watched the guy write stuff down, and I watched him waste my time that I paid for trying to figure out a lesson plan right there in front of my face. And I was smart enough to know that was happening, and it just was a really big turnoff. I've watched numerous mostly guy guitar teachers write out chord charts right in front of me. They didn't have chord charts ready to go. They took valuable lesson time out of my lesson to write charts, to write an E chord down, when they could have had all those basic chords already ready for me in written form, where, if he'd done the prep work before, he would have had all those charts ready, and he could have just printed them off and handed all of his students that. Not necessarily page 1, but that's what I watched my valuable time just disappear. So, in a nutshell, every single second that he took writing out junk for me was a minute or 2 of time that he was ripping me off of, and I could tell right away, and it really pissed me off. So I would last 4 lessons, get a new teacher, I'd last 6 lessons. I didn't ever feel like I was getting paid attention to. I felt like the teacher really wasn't that interested. They just wanted to get lesson 1, 2, and 3, and 4 over, and then have me write the check for the next month or the next lesson coming up. Here's another thing that makes it so you don't want to go back to a teacher if they're really boring. You want to have a teacher that's excited, has enthusiasm for what they're working with. Somebody who really is excited about showing you what you asked to learn. As a new teacher, you want to get this into your head that not one size fits all. All your people that are coming into your home for lessons are all very different. So if you have a one-size-fits-all attitude, it's just going to be boring. Your student's going to be able to tell, and they're not going to want to come back. They're going to look for another teacher somewhere else. That's just the honest truth. I'm not filming this video to embarrass any teacher. I'm filming this video to help some of the folks that are new coming up into teaching strategies and ways that they can entice a student to be excited about their lesson, feel like they're getting results, and want to come back for more. That's simple as that. Again, I'm going to say it. Every single lesson that you teach someone should answer the question for your student, why would I want to come back next week? If you can answer that question after every lesson, you are well on your way to becoming a really good teacher. Number one, you want to have all the lessons prepped and prepared for your student. Not everybody's the same. Some people want to do classic rock. Some people want to do country. Some people want to just, they don't really want to sing. They just want to, strum and play rhythm guitar. So if you can really identify what your students' desires are and address that in each lesson, leave them at the end of a lesson wanting to come back because they felt successful. That's what your goal is. Don't teach everyone the same. That's ridiculous. I took piano lessons for a long time, and I know that my piano teachers taught every single student the same. Even when I was 10 years old, I could tell that my teacher was bored. They didn't like me at all. They were teaching me out of the same John Thompson books. And I did not feel like I was an individual. I felt like I was kind of shuffled along with the cattle. And even at age 10, I knew I didn't want to go back to that teacher for any more lessons. Didn't have a choice. That was the teacher that we got. Years of it. That's what made me decide to be a better teacher so that I would have returning students for months and months and months. So here's the deal. You want to teach the student that's in front of you. Many new students, especially guitar students, they will take lessons for a while. You do your very best to keep them engaged, but they will eventually put the guitar down and set it aside for a number of years. But if they had the interest initially, they will probably go back to it. You want to be the teacher. You want to develop the skill set to be the teacher that they never want to quit. That's how I ended up with guitar students. I ended up with piano students that would take, 3, 4, 5 years at a pop. Sometimes they'd take a little break, maybe a summer break, but they'd always come back to me. I think one of the best things that you can do when you are having a cold call from somebody who might have seen your ad, like on a Facebook ad or something. I think one of the best things that you could possibly do is ask this person why they want to take lessons. And really listen to the answer. If someone says, I want to play for church, write it down. Know what their aim is. Or they say, I want to play classic rock. I really like the 70s and 80s, and I'm thinking maybe I want to be in a band. Really listen to that. Write it down. If they say something like that, ask them, what are your favorite songs? Write that down. Get a customized lesson for them. Bang, out of the chute. The second they show up for their first lesson, you've got a tune that they mentioned in the first phone call. The crappy teachers that I've had in my life, and I got to tell you, I've never had a very excellent music teacher. I took violin for, I don't know, about 5 years. I took piano for a long time. During that, during the piano and the violin years, I was learning double instruments. Lousy teachers. I would take a guitar lesson or two with a teacher that just wasted my time. I could tell. And so, being self taught, you know, I could tell right away when someone was not prepared for a lesson. They hadn't really listened to what I said over the phone, and they came in and plugged me into page one, and that used to just piss me off. I could see my money just going down the toilet. So that's why with all my guitar work, I am more self-taught. So in a nutshell, these lousy teachers I had have taught me really valuable lessons on the kind of teacher I didn't want to be. So I grew myself and trained myself out of being that boring, every lesson's the same for every student that comes in. I just forced myself to put the work in and have big, wonderful, bang out lessons for new students where they left lessons just feeling very excited and ready to go for next week and wanting to come back. So let's say you get a call from somebody and you ask them, you go, what are you into? What are you? What are the things that are driving you to want to play guitar? And they say, I just love Johnny Cash. Why don't you, when they come in for their first lesson, I don't care if they're a beginner, have a Johnny Cash song ready for them. Have Folsom Prison Blues ready for them. I think it's in the key of E. A beginner guitar student can learn an E. That's easy peasy. Get them into Folsom Prison Blues. They will come in, they will feel like they've been heard, and they'll go home with the whole song charted out. They may not be able to play it, so what? It's very exciting for a new student to feel like they've been heard. Okay, next lesson. They're probably going to be not very good at making an E chord. Write out a bio. Just do a short bio on Johnny Cash. And next lesson, give them the short bio. You want to pump your students up with information that makes them feel like the money that they're spending is worth it. What's cool about this too is if you are not a Johnny Cash fan, now you have Folsom Prison Blues as a song that you can add to your song library. So if another student down the road calls and says, I kind of like this old country stuff, the old stuff like from 1957 and up, I really like Johnny Cash, you already have that song charted out, so you're ready to go. I believe that you can become a really good music teacher. You'll be in demand. People will want to pay you. They'll feel good about the money that they're spending coming for lessons with you. But becoming a great teacher is not necessarily about knowing all the chords and knowing all the scales. Down the road, you may end up with a student who wants to play more lead. Learning some pentatonic scales is a great skill to have. It's about helping a student learn and feel successful one lesson at a time. If you play, and this is the motto for the whole entire channel, if you can play, why don't you just teach what you know? You'll gain some students coming in they come with requests. You'll learn new material. You'll stay ahead of them, and you'll get better and better and better at your skill set. Your music library will grow, and the word of mouth will get out, and all of a sudden you're going to find out that you've got 10 guitar students. The money's coming in now. Students don't expect you to be perfect. I've talked about that in other videos. They just want to come in and feel like there's some momentum and purpose in the lesson. That's what keeps students coming back. Become the kind of teacher that you would like to have for yourself. If you've had lousy teachers, you know what you don't want. So you know that you can adjust your behavior and your skill set to become the teacher that you wish that you had had. If you want to learn more, go to the playlist up here. There's a good playlist. I have a huge body of work that will help you get the confidence to take on a bunch of new folks. I'll also put that link to the playlist in the video description. But again, I'm trying to remind you, become the teacher that you wish that you had had. Or if you had a good teacher, start to emulate those patterns and techniques and skill that that teacher had with you. And thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, feel free to just put them in the comments. You can also email me. My email, I believe, is in the video description. It's also on the banner. Just email me. I'll get back with you. Aha! The reason I quit 6 lessons was because the teacher sucked big time, and I just was bored out of my mind, and I was pissed off. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Over and out. Bye.